You guys are doing good. It is another day, another dollar. So I thought I'd bring in my wrestling brother. This cat, I've known this guy for a long time, and we've been trying to figure out how to work together. And it's kind of all really started to work together in the last couple years, and it's been really fantastic. We've really gotten a lot of traction. Anyway, guy's a great guy. If you guys follow me, you may already know him because we kind of cross over a lot of circles. I'm just going to go ahead and bring him in. The king of Connecticut, no one other than Matt the Granimal Granahan. Here we go. What's up, Matt?
Hey, Jake, how you doing, man? It's a great Friday down here in Florida. I stopped at a little Mexican joint to do this, and I want to say salud or salute.
Yeah,
Cheers.
cheers, man. I got my hard cider here. Let's.
Nice. They gave me a tequila drink with OJ because I love tequila. Actually, what I do for your listeners, my drink is tequila and Aperol and OJ with a little splash of seltzer. That's like my summer refresher. Because when I was in Italy, I on the investment side, I got a little investment villa in Shaka in Sicily, and the big drink there is Campari and soda. But in Italy, they also have Aperol, which is not as harsh. And it goes great with Pinot Grigio wine when you make that, or with tequila. I like it better with tequila. But they didn't have that here, so they gave me their own concoction. But it's delicious, man. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, dude. So I love the fact that you're buying up property. I love the fact that you're buying property international. You and I we bullshit all the time about other business stuff, but what you're doing strategically, in my opinion, is very very smart.
Thank you.
Because you're going to cash flow on all of these investments, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
this is how you actually retire, and you don't have to wait for like some 401k that depends on the stock market, which is constantly taking a shit, or
Yeah,
or Social Security, which isn't going to be there when it's our time. I
that's
put in
right.
so much money, it ain't going to be there for me or you.
It's funny, Jake, because Social Security is like what a lot of the old so-called reformed mobsters that I know that are down here in Florida. A lot of these old gangsters, and they're friends of mine, but there's no such thing as a reformed gangster. A lot of them are trying to run these Ponzi scams,
Yeah.
where it's money on money, and Social Security is a Ponzi scam. I mean, they're spending our money,
Dude, the
and
U.S. government, sorry to interrupt, but is like the largest gangster. Like, I mean, dude, I just got to say it, criminal organization. Because if we held the U.S. government to the standard that they held us to, they'd be in jail.
absolutely, absolutely. And what they do with our money is sickening. I don't want to get into that.
Well, let's get into that in a little bit because we do want to talk about like money and about business. In fact,
I,
I
I
titled
do.
this.
I'm doing dude speak, man. I'm going to do this in dude speak. So say, we're a couple dudes like me and you. Say we're down here in Florida, right? And we're stopping at a spot like this, and we're having a couple cervezas, a couple brews, just chilling out. Dudes just chilling out with our friends, and a Jeep pulls up, right? And all these dudes, these French dudes, get out, and they're all in military fatigues, right? And these French dudes come in to the bar where we're hanging, and they act like they own the place. And dude, I'll put it in dude speak. That's what dudes around the world think of when they think of the United States, because we have these bases, a ridiculous amount all over the world. Dude, China has 1.5 bases worldwide.
I mean, how much money have we just given to the freaking Ukraine, and people
Unsafe.
are dying here? Hey, we got a comment already. We got Ted Words saying, "What about getting catch into MMA gyms, bro? I got you. It's called scientificwrestler.com. Let me just throw this up here for you. Look at this little bad boy I got right here, right there. Scientificwrestler.com. We got 15 affiliates in our first year. 3 of them are international. One not close to Sicily, but close to Pisa in Italy. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm working. I'm trying to do all these things. In fact, maybe this is a great segue. Matt and I are working on So I've got a couple different things that I'm trying to do to get Catch as Catch Can out there. Matt actually has done great stuff with Catch. I think your group is called the American Combat Association. You
Yep.
wrote a book
Yep.
with Eric Paulson, which is a
Yep.
great book called Rough and Tumble. So, one of the things obviously is this affiliate thing, which is exactly that. We've got MMA gyms all over like I said, all over the world now, 15 in our first year, truly the best deal in the business. But one of the things that I've learned the hard way in doing this for 20 years and trying to bring this out to the people is marketing, dude. It's about marketing. And this is why I've been working with Matt because sure, I was banging on doors trying to get people to take this on. The jiu-jitsu community constantly looked down their nose while stealing all my shit. Like it just was annoying, right? And then other people would come and like join me for like a year and then go try to create their own thing and they'd all fizzle out. So I started to learn like, okay, marketing, I've got to figure this marketing thing out. And one of the things that I came up with like yesterday was Carl Gotch's birthday. He would have been 99 years old. This guy was massively influential, arguably the father of MMA. I mean, Shudo and Pancrase both, which is where Eric Paulson started Shudo with both started like way before UFC. At least Shudo did. And he was instrumental in that. Anyway, I figured out that if we're going to really do this big, I need a platform. And the rule set that I developed with Carl, called the King of Catch rules, which is the only rule set co-developed by Carl Gotch. This guy who started MMA, was an Olympian, was a Belgian freestyle and Greco-Roman champ. This guy's a stud. Rest in peace, by the way. He was a good friend of mine. Check out carlgotch.com if you want to go listen to some of the mentoring calls that I had with him. But one of the things I realized is these tournaments that I was doing with King of Catch weren't getting the big traction. I figured out that I needed to do an invitational. I needed to have a real show. And where things really got traction was when I stopped knocking on the jiu-jitsu doors. When I started actually knocking on the pro wrestling doors and said, hey, I know that you guys are theatrical. I did it. I'm cool with it. I got no problem with it. I like pro wrestling, okay? However, I don't want to change what you're doing. But what I think is that shoot wrestling, which is legit competitive grappling under pro wrestling rules, which is what I'm pushing, I believe we deserve a seat at the table. And so I developed Shoot Pro Wrestling, and it is that. It is truly competitive grappling under pro wrestling rules. Well, so Matt and I, in the last couple of years, and Matt has been absolutely fantastic, man. Like Matt is very good at business development and has really been making a lot of great connections for us. And I think we can talk about that briefly. I don't want to make this a whole sales pitch. I do want to talk about business, but the marketing is going to be key because if I create a platform, which the UFC was a platform for jiu-jitsu, we can't forget that. That's why there's jiu-jitsu took over all the Taekwondo strip mall dojos because the UFC pitched jiu-jitsu. Now, jiu-jitsu hasn't really been dominant. Wrestling is dominant. It's two times the number of champions come out of wrestling that come out of jiu-jitsu. And yet we have not seen a market-based wrestling program. Everything is socialized because most wrestling, people are going to probably get buttered over this, but wrestling's socialized. Like you don't like socialized medicine? Wrestling's socialized. It's subsidized by the state. So we need to move it into the marketplace. And that's what I've been doing. I believe Shoot Pro Wrestling is going to get people interested, and then that will drive these like market-based catch can folk style wrestling for what I call weaponized wrestling, which is folk style with submissions, which is catch can, to drive that into the marketplace and replace how Taekwondo got replaced by Jiu-Jitsu. I'm aiming to replace catch can or Jiu-Jitsu with catch can. And Matt has been instrumental in that. So sorry to make you guys drink for the fire hose there, but Matt, maybe you can give people just a little bit of a heads up. I mean, we've had 3 shows. We're doing tag team matches. We're doing triple shoot, which are like a triple threat match in the WWE. We do singles matches. High level talent. World champions are competing in this. Our middleweight champion is the current lightweight champion at LFA. Um, Matt, maybe you could fill the guys in on a little bit of the traction that we've been making. Maybe talk a little bit about Jerry Briscoe and some of this
Sure.
other stuff that we're cooking.
Sure, Jake. You and I were just recently on Jerry Briscoe's podcast with JBL, the Briscoe Bradshaw podcast, and I really encourage everyone to listen to that. And as I am talking to you, I just got a text from King Mo. I'm coordinating to have him on for an interview with Hannibal. And on that note, I want to say you had a great interview the other day with Mo, with King Mo, and I was very pleased to be able to put you guys together. Mo's a great guy. He was one of my favorite guests on my old show, King's Court. And how that happened was I used to come down here in Florida and broadcast with Mo for a company called RFC at the a la carte pavilion in Tampa. They since closed. Like a lot of these small MMA promotions have closed. And we're going to segue to why Shoot Pro is so unique and so dynamic and so important, right?
It is.
And one of the aspects that I really enjoyed in your conversation with Mo, Mo, he came out of Texas. Now, in Texas, in Amarillo, Texas, there was a promotion you guys talked about called USWF, the United Shoot Wrestling Federation.
I couldn't think of the main guy's name, and I know him, and I feel like an idiot.
Let me tell you, I used to have him. He was a regular on my old podcast. Dan Severn put me in touch with him. His name is Steve Nelson.
Steve Nelson.
And, yeah, his father was a renowned Gordy Nelson. And for fans that don't know, we just had little Guido Nunzio on, along with Harry Smith, on the Old School Shooters podcast that I co-host. And a lot of people don't realize that Nunzio was actually Steve Nelson's opponent in the very first USWF in Amarillo. And they came back and fought a striker, a kickboxer, more of a kickboxing-based guy. But he was Steve's first opponent. And guys like Frank Trigg and guys like Evan Tanner, former UFC middleweight champion, came out of that promotion. Now, what's so interesting about that promotion was that was a Shoot Pro Wrestling promotion. And at the time,
they didn't have pinning.
Yeah, they didn't have pinning, but let me explain the difference, and I was going to get to that. It was a Shoot Pro Wrestling Federation or organization in the sense that that's how it had to be presented to exist. And some of the younger fans may not understand this. The MMA wasn't legal in the majority of states.
Right.
And the symbiotic relationship, the roots of the same tree, MMA and professional wrestling. I mean, let's talk. Let's give the fans just a little history here that they may. I'm not sure the IQ, the grappling and historical IQ of a lot of the fans of your fans. I know some of them might be more business related. But those that are getting interested, let's give them some education here. In that, Mitsuyu Maeda, who trained the Gracies, was a professional wrestler, professional catch-as-catch-can wrestler. And the Gracie family, they ran the carnivals down in Brazil. Rickson Gracie was just talking to Joe Rogan about how he first learned leg locks watching a video from Satoru Sayama, Tiger Mask, that Eric Paulson gave him in Shuto, which was a Shoot Pro Wrestling promotion. Now, when I say Shoot Pro Wrestling promotion, I want to make sure I clarify, not with the same rules as professional wrestling with pinfall or submit, but evolved out of professional wrestling the way that Pancras did out of UWFI. Not only are they roots of the same tree, they essentially are the same thing. Elio Gracie, the patriarch of the Gracie family, Orion Gracie just posted how Walex Zbyszko ragdolled Elio, but Rios was tough and didn't submit. If you want to look at who
and Zbyszko being a very famous
Zbyszko, yeah, Yep, absolutely. And his brother Stanislaus being a
Yeah.
pro wrestler, a shooter, catch can shooter. Also Fred Ebert, who fought him to a draw, professional wrestler, and also Kimura, Masahiko Kimura, who broke
Pro
Elio
wrestler.
Gracie's heart, professional wrestler who Ricky Dozan smacked around and double crossed in a match and gave him a beating. And then
Well,
Ricky
hey,
Dozan in his own club was victim of a stabbing with a knife. Now with a piss stained knife. Now here's the thing: Jake and I are going to be going on an enormously popular show called Crime and Entertainment, which has been both a television show and a podcast. We're going to go on the podcast version with the one and only Hollywood Wade, and I'm really looking forward to that. Jake, we continue. Jake and I continue to spread the knowledge. And Jake asks me about Shoot Pro. The thing is, we're spreading the knowledge and the history to the fans because not only is it important, but it's never been any more important, Jake. Jake, why don't you tell fans what happened in case they don't know with Endeavor and this purchase of the WWE and UFC being owned by the same entity?
yeah, I mean, it's interesting because if you really study this as a business, there's a lot of money and a lot of lessons to be learned. But part of like any business and part of any marketing or sales is knowledge. It's really knowing and being an expert on the product or the service or whatever. And in this case, what Matt is saying is 100% true. You have to have grappling literacy. If you're going to be in this field and you don't live in communist China or in some Eastern Bloc country, and you actually want to be a part of this business and you want to be involved, you have a duty, an obligation to really have grappling literacy. Pick up Matt's book, pick up my books, go study. There's a ton of information. Go talk to people that have actually been around firsthand, get experience. I mean, don't take anything even that Matt and I say. Go get your own experience, write your own books. Like, you've got to actually become an expert in this. And I would like to challenge people to really do so. Now, to what Matt is saying about this massive deal, and what I love about this massive deal with Endeavor. So people who don't know Endeavor, and maybe you could talk a little bit when I'm done here about Ari Emanuel, right? This is the cat that Jeremy Piven, the actor, played on that TV show Entourage, which I freaking love.
It's interesting because I am still part of kind of wrapping it up and with my role in it, but and I can talk about it now. When Phil Baroni, who fans will remember, who was really close to me, and I was close to his family when he had his legal issues in Mexico. I used my relationship with my law firm and our partner in San Antonio to get him into a safer, environment. I'll just leave it at that. But that's what we signed him, and part of the deal for him to get pro bono was to sign for the TBI CTE. And we've, and we
traumatic brain injury, and the
yeah.
concussion
I don't want to get fans too much in the weeds on that, but that's the reason that I was at a dinner with Ari Emanuel at the John Jones fight. And I'll just say, Ari's a great dude, highly respected by the attorneys in this group. They know he's doing the right thing, like the NFL did with respect to this whole TBI CTE thing. Don't want to get in the weeds on that, but I will say this. In the brief discussion that I had at dinner with Ari out there in Vegas at the John Jones fight, he said that he was a much bigger pro wrestling fan than UFC fan, because we were all going over to the UFC. They had an awesome VIP area, like right behind the commentators. It was great, really cool. And I told Jake, just as an aside, kind of funny aside, that they had the Garcia Group, which is our attorneys from San Antonio, and some of their very, very sexy wives, but they're shorter gals in their high heels, were actually towering over Rogan. I said, God, how tall is Joe Rogan? I never actually met him face to face, but a smaller guy, just an aside. But when we were there, Ari mentioned that he was more of a WWE fan. Now that was before. That was when we thought that the Saudis were going to buy WWE. When I was out there.
Here's the thing: Ari Emanuel is one hell of a smart business guy, and I can tell you, WWE has twice the valuation of UFC. And I guarantee you that is a big reason why he is a fan of what they've done with pro wrestling. And what I wanted to get to, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to finish the point, was that this Endeavor deal, which Ari Emanuel is the head of Endeavor, where he brought in McMahon and Dana White, UFC and WWE together under the same umbrella. This is only confirmation of what Scientific Wrestling, Shoot Pro Wrestling has already been doing for years. And that is, these are the kind of conversations Matt and I have. That's like, how freaking long is it going to take for these guys to figure out OSHIT? This is the thing. What if we take the brilliance? This is what Shoot Pro, what my vision is. Take the brilliance of the business side of pro wrestling. Take the excitement and the bettability. You can bet on the UFC, not this dumb shit where they were talking about voting on WWE outcomes. No, that's stupid. But the real sport and the real business and putting them together, because here's the thing. Let's just talk freaking real here, because both of us are longtime, not just fans, but people in the business, know people for a long time. Let's be real here. Why is WWE 2 times like $8 billion while UFC was $4 billion? Well, first of all, WWE knows how to sell and market. Easy. Okay? Second of all, it's a freaking variety show. It's a variety show. Okay, I love UFC, man. I do. I love it, love it, love it. I love MMA. I love all of it. It's all amazing. But I'm going to tell you something. The same freaking match every freaking show with 3 rounds, 5 rounds if it's a championship, 3 minutes. Like, dude, WWE figured it out, or pro wrestling figured it out. Let's throw on a singles match. Let's do a hardcore match. Let's do a tag team match. Let's do a triple shoot. Let's do all these different formats. And to me, this is why Shoot Pro fits in better with pro wrestling, not just because of all the stuff we've been talking about history and all that. We fit in with the variety show. We say, hey, dude, you guys obviously see the synergies between MMA and pro wrestling, because like you said, they're really fruit from the same tree. Why don't we do this? The big guy is WWE, 8 billion versus 4 billion. Why don't we take the 4 billion, give it a seat at the table as a part of the variety show? And now we have a shoot division. Fans are smart. This ain't the 80s where you're still trying to pretend that it's real. Everybody knows what's up. So let's add to the variety show. Let's add a shoot thing. Now you got Dolph Ziggler, Gable Stevenson. You got a place for these guys to go. For Otis and what's the other dude that the Olympian that he's a tag team guy with? These guys now have a place to go.
Think about the dream matches you could have with
Chad Gable.
Jack Gable, yeah, but bringing UFC guys over to go against those guys, and they're already trying to do it. And I'll share this story. This is just happened this morning, man. A gym I go to, not the fight gym that I coach at, but my regular gym that I go to, Anytime Fitness. It's the guy who manages it. His wife is under the name. Her real name is Jackie, but she's under the name Karma Dean. She's had a cup of coffee in AEW, and she does all the wrestling, right? So, her husband came up to me this morning. He always talks to me at the gym, and he's like, dude, he goes, because I've gone to some of her matches, and he goes, dude, He goes, we got to go tonight. She's in Orlando, and it's this strong style. And he goes, dude, he goes, this is going to be like MMA, right? So it's like, and I'll send you the poster. It's like marketed as Puerto Rican strong style, right? So they're already trying to do it. Pro wrestling's been, trying to get back to their roots for years, but they haven't done it the right way. And they tried Brawl for All, and they haven't done the way.
It's simple. They're trying to do all this crazy shit. They got to just keep it what it is and turn it loose.
Yeah, Shoot Pro is going back to the roots, and no one knows the roots better than Jake with scientific wrestling. And I'm sure that many of you listeners have followed the history of scientific wrestling over the last 20 years on what Jake's done. Dude, the timing is now for a Shoot Pro wrestling. It couldn't be, the timing couldn't be any better.
So let's talk about this.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but let's talk about this because, like, for example, we go on Briscoe and Bradshaw. They asked to have a show about Billy Robinson, and so we came on talking about him, and Jerry got it. Jerry, got it. He's like, because he's with his brother Jack, Jerry understands the shoot. Jerry was a road agent, booked a lot of shooters, for the WWE. He got it. Jerry's 100. Like, maybe you could tell people because you know Jerry better than me, but he's like on board.
Oh, absolutely, man. Let me tell you guys a little history, man. Jerry's a good bud of mine, and he and his brother secured ownership of Championship Wrestling from Florida, right? And the territory days. And when Vince bought them out, he gave Jerry a job for life, right? And so Jerry's job was going out to wrestling meets, right? And that's how I got to know Jerry originally. It was originally with Baroni, and then it was a kid named TJ Dudley that I coached when he was in high school that went on to Nebraska. And it was just, man, if you ever want to watch Tim Dudley, dude, I mean, he was barely outpointed at Midlands by Dave Taylor. He in finals, he made it to the finals junior year of NCAA at tournament, and he was just barely out. He was a guy that had it, and he just and now he's an Olympic alternate, but he's going to law school. But he looks like The Rock. He's a really good-looking black dude and very well-spoken, and can take that mic. And dude, Jerry, when I introduced him to Jerry at the meet, dude, Jerry was all over because he used to come back over Christmas break, and Jake will appreciate this. He used to wrestle at Dutch Fork, and dude, it was like me and all my buddies, like kids that were competitive against him in high school, and we would just go at him, and he would just ragdoll us. He was so good, top wrestler in the country, right? Yeah. And Jerry,
a lot of people have never had that experience. Like you and I, we've been around it. We're the guys in the room. We're like, wrestling and enjoying just the fucking activity itself. But when you get like a top guy come in, like a top like NCAA Olympic guy, dude, you have no effing idea what it's like to get double legged by. It's like getting hit by a freaking truck.
Absolutely, and the difference. I mean, the skill, and we were lifelong, wrestlers, and the skill level difference when these guys jumped from high school to a top college program. He was in the room every day with Jordan Burroughs. I mean, he was just cutting like a knife through butter. All his whole team. But the point was, Jerry was so hot on him, but that's Jerry's thing. So Jerry is so hot on Shoot Pro, man. And I don't want to let any cats out of any bags, but I'm telling you, I'll just say this. Jake and I are working on some pretty awesome stuff that
big deals
should come together next year. Yeah, some pretty big deals for Shoot Pro. So I want everybody to keep their eye out, man. And Shoot Pro is going to be on the scene for sure, man. And especially.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
I was going to say, especially 2024, because we're getting all our ducks in a row for some big potential announcements coming up.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much crazy momentum. We've already got the 3 shows. What people don't understand is they're like, okay, you did 3 shows and you didn't do a show this year. I'm like, yeah, because that was the point. When you're thinking with a business perspective, you have to understand the way that you're going to blow up is you're working with people that are bigger than you, right? You can't just try to grassroots it. I've tried that. It's a very long road. What you do is what we've done. We've created a great product with all the variations, permutations, shown that what's called an MVP and but minimum viable product, that this is a go. This stuff works. I booked high world level talent to literally go at it if pro wrestling was real. And this is again going back to King Mo, and King Mo's behind it. Also, your friends Bonner and Griffin are behind it, endorsing it. Like
John Fry, John Fry just jumping on board. Dan Severn is a long time friend of mine. I was on their show, but at that time, Jake and I hadn't connected for this, so I didn't bring it up. But Jerry brought it up to Don Fry when he was on Briscoe and Bradshaw, and Don's all about it. We don't even want. I don't even want to say because there's so many. I mean, we're
The time has come.
Oh
the
yeah.
The time has come for this, and we're in the right place, right position. But yeah, you're right. People need to stay tuned because shit is like people don't have an idea of like the level where we're at. Like, and so we should probably just make them salivate a little bit on that. You know what I mean? Like, give them a glass of milk and not give them the cow.
But it's one of those things, Jake, where we're going back to the future, and all the things that you have done for decades. Now, it's being reaffirmed, right? The history is being reaffirmed by what's going on now. So I just, with respect to Shoot Pro, man, this is going to be. I know you've already done some shows, but this next show when we announce it, stay tuned, man. Stay tuned. It's going to be awesome.
Well, it's interesting because you talk about going back to the future, dude. Like, this is the thing, and this is why it's important to understand the business, the grappling history, all the things that we've been talking about here. What the reason why I doubled down, pushed all in behind scientific wrestling. I mean, I'm a seasoned business guy, and so are you, and like in particular on sales for you, right? Like, and I'm a sales trainer too, so like, and let's talk about that in a minute. But like, the reason I'm pushing everything in on this is, first of all, like we've been talking about, making the case for, the time has come, the momentum's there, people get it, the highest level guys in the entire industry are merging and getting it. So I'm not worried about that. What I think is important for people to realize is kind of the inevitability of this, based on the fact, if you actually get deep into the catch wrestling as a historian like you have, Matt, and like myself, catch can wrestling, quantifiably, I can show you numbers, and you can just do this in your head, everybody that's listening. The most impactful martial art, combat sport, and I'm going to go out and say sport that has ever existed. And here's why, how you can quantify it. You take right now every fan, athlete, coach, and promoter or business person associated, that group of people, that demographic, from amateur scholastic wrestling in the United States, folk style, that's a lot. You add in Olympic international wrestling, because that's a derivative of catch can, just like folk style.
Of course, yeah.
MMA, again, Shudo Pancrase was first. Then you add in WWE, dude, soccer, like not like international football, that kind of shit, is not a pimple on the fucking ass of catch can wrestling. Fact. This
Absolutely.
is inevitable. This is inevitable. And what Matt is saying is that, Matt and I and the other people that have been on board with scientific wrestling and Shoot Pro as this prong of attack, and has been supporting and helping along the way, we want to get what, we have been pushing for and working for decades, and other people like Carl Gotch, hundreds of years this has been culminating. So anyway, I just wanted to bring up that point. And like I said, with Endeavor, dude, now this is kind of almost a foregone conclusion. This is why I want people, you're going to be glad if you were one of the guys that was early in on this. If you're watching this, you're one of the few people that are at the beginning, like before it really blew up. Can you imagine being in the room with like John Miletus and Art Davie and Jorge and Gracie before the UFC? That's where we're at.
Yeah, and so you mentioned Art Davie, who's a great friend of mine and one of my favorite guests on my old show, King's Court, and also on the Hannibal platform. And man, you talk about just a cool dude, down to earth dude. I mean, man, and he is so on board. He is so dialed into the history of catch wrestling and grappling. Like, dude, when he listened to our um, Jerry Briscoe, Bradshaw, Billy Robinson tribute, dude, he sent me that he was like, "This is phenomenal." He goes, you know, and my interview with him, I think it was 2016.
And that's the founder of the freaking UFC.
Yeah, the creator and founder of UFC, and we had him on the old King's Court, and this was probably 2016. I did a 90-minute interview with him, and I didn't know that he was so knowledgeable about the history of grappling, but I probably should have. And dude, he'll tell you he loved my video where I buried Jorge and Gracie for going after Gene LaBelle after Gene died. He goes, he loved it.
Wait. Tell me about that. I don't even know about that. What did Jorge? Now you're getting me fired up.
There's this channel, and you know, just to kind of smarten fans up, like Art was a student of the Gracies originally. Like he was an original garage student, and if you listen to my old interview with him, he's got no love for those guys and hasn't for quite a while. And he's the one who gave me the Don Quixote. He goes, yeah, Horian's like Don Quixote with this new channel because it's all about him. And he's always the hero of his own story. I mean, kind of the point where he's being serious, but just looks like a complete, you know. And
now wait, what happened with Gene LaBelle? Because Gene LaBelle is like a good that guy. Gene LaBelle, so, like I love Gene LaBelle.
Videos where it's always about how everyone's afraid of him, and he did this video about Gene where he claimed that Gene was always afraid of him, and you should. I mean, you think
and
it's
of course, this happens after Gene's dead. This is how
exactly.
Wait till too after they're dead.
I do my commentaries with Hannibal. I cracked 1 million, and they're always I use like compelling open, substantive center, and dynamic close, and they're all under a minute. And I bury Orion on this, and Art loved it. He put like the love symbol, you know, when I shared it on Facebook. He messaged me and he goes, that was awesome. He goes, it took him however many minutes babbling on about Gene to try to bury him. He said it took you 40 seconds to Orion, you know, but the point is that going back to the original UFCs, I mean, it's been exposed now. They were mainly infomercials for I mean, Art's the creator and founder of it, and he'll tell you that. You know, and he loves when I say that. So the thing is, the real history has been exposed, and fans know it. We're, you know, seen a shift all across the board, Rogan on down, and it's greatly thanks to Scientific Wrestling and you and Jake Shannon, and you know, 20 years of this information in our books. You mentioned getting that out there, and the cool thing was with Paulson, he did Bravo's show, and then he made sure he got a copy of Rough and Tumble to Rogan. And now when I hear Rogan even talking about some of this stuff, like, you know, he's more knowledgeable now. So knowledge is the truth.
Dude, you have done great work, and you mentioned Eric. You know,
Thank
Eric, I've always Eric's such a great guy. I mean, we both know him. He's such a great guy. But the thing is like in the grander scheme of history, you know, what I love about Eric is he's such an interesting cat because he's so big on like this Jeet Kune Do circuit, and then he's got this strong Shuto competitive background from, you know, the 90s. But and then you mentioned like him giving the Sayama tape to Hickson.
Yeah.
I look at Eric as there's different guys at different things. And what Eric's main contribution, Eric is like one of the, if not the greatest ambassador
Yeah.
catch can into that jujitsu cult.
Oh yeah, he's a bridge.
He got
Yeah.
booed. He got booed for doing leg locks at a big tournament. He's helping Hickson. Like I look at Eric. Everybody gives credit to Danaher and all these fucking guys. I don't think so. I think that it was Eric who revolutionized the jiu-jitsu scene by putting a good, healthy injection of catch wrestling into that kind of decrepit body that wasn't doing leg locks, wasn't doing any of these things. And it was Eric who really revolutionized jiu-jitsu and brought
Definitely. And I can also announce too, Eric is, I mean, God, he messages me links constantly, like,
yeah, same.
and so we always talk on the Facebook, and we just confirmed, we just confirmed with Jack that Jack is sending some times. The first time didn't work, but we're supposed to be recording an old school shooters with Eric. I had shooters with Eric, but it was Eric and I did like a 2-hour sit down, like retrospective on our book. And we used some of that to create an old school shooters, but we're going to have a new one coming hopefully this weekend. And Harry was awesome. We had Harry on old school.
Let's talk about Harry real quick too, because Harry, so, for those of you that don't know, Shoot Pro is going to be this big thing like the UFC to put catch can into the cultural consciousness. But, I've been doing these camps and Harry started out coming to the camps with Billy and I. And Harry is actually one hell of a effing shooter. One hell of a shooter. Like he enters into these grappling and catch wrestling competitive matches and crushes people. And he's going to be coaching in both our Orlando camp, which is coming up. You guys, if you're interested, let me throw this up. Sorry to interrupt, but it's Certified Catch Wrestler or CoachingCatch.com. You can register, you can learn. And Harry's like wrestling royalty. We're just throwing around the name Harry, but this is DB Smith Jr. is his pro wrestling name, Davy Boy Smith Jr. So if you know of, the Davy Boy Smith and the British Bulldogs, which were the biggest tag team during their era, during their heyday, Harry, and dude, I'm telling you, we were talking about getting ragdolled. Dude, I just even try to demo pummeling with Harry. It's like I feel like how my 11-year-old must feel when we roughhouse. Harry is like 300 pounds and like 6'4".
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to give Harry real props. And go watch that episode that you guys did with
Harry. That was awesome, man. And I just want to give a shout out to a young man that's doing great things too. I'm a young man named Bulletproof Troop.
Yeah, Blake. Yeah, he's been studying hard. He came to our Orlando camp with his pro wrestling coach. And dude, this is another guy, super stud. Go watch his actual MMA and grappling fights and his pro wrestling. But dude, this guy is a total stud. Yeah, 100%. Blake Troop. Yeah, Bulletproof Troop.
Yeah, the Troop. Great things coming for him. And man, I want to thank you so much, Jake. Here coming into the weekend, and I just want to tell everybody, just keep your eye out for Shoot Pro, and you can follow my Facebook, Matthew J. Granahan, or the king.of.connecticut. Facebook's better because Instagram, I keep it private because I have more family pictures and stuff on there. The Facebook's the best. That's where I have the most fun. And I'm looking forward to hopefully getting Eric on. We should have a time locked down. Eric Paulson on Old School Shooters. Check out Old School Shooters. Jake's been on. We've had great guests: Pat Militich, Jerry Briscoe, Larry Zabisco, you name it. We've had a number. Sonny Ono. We had a number of great guests, and Jake and Stitch Duran and a lot of guys like that. Fun show. And I just want to say, man, 2023, the rest of this year and bleeding into 2024. Hell, we're already in August, right?
I know.
Man, we have a lot of irons in the fire for Shoot Pro, a lot of poles in the water.
a lot of
Yeah.
momentum, which is really like exciting.
Yeah. So I want to thank you, Jake. Unless there's anything else you want to
No, listen,
discuss.
listen, man. I'm glad you came on. We'll have to do this again because I mean, people should just listen in on our bullshitting conversations because they're hilarious. You guys have to understand. Matt's got some really funny stories about some people in the business.
You
Because
got to check out the Ric Flair saga, and that is a
that's
true.
where I was going. Well,
That
let's
is a
save that. Let's save that for these guys for another show, though, because
and also, all you have to do, fans. I think God would probably close to 10. I've been on a number of podcasts with Jake, and I want to give the shout out that Jake and I again we're going to be on Hollywood Wade's
that's
entertainment cast to talk about the Yakuza and pro wrestling. That one is going to be awesome, big viewership. And thanks, Jake, and have a great weekend, brother.
Yeah. Hey, thanks again, man. So, guys, let's give a large round of applause for Matt Granahan, the King of Connecticut. Appreciate having you on the show, brother. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, we got big things cooking, man. We're working hard to make this happen. I appreciate you guys. We'll be back next week. And meanwhile, man, have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.